Insurance Corporation, or KDIC, a state corporation established under the KDI Act Cap 487C. But who exactly are we? KDIC provides a deposit insurance for customers of member institutions. KDIC, safer, stronger, together.
Hapo na bwana yake huwa wanafanya mambo ingine ya kushangaza.
Mambo gani? Hebu eleza koti.
Nyamasa niendelee.
Endelea, usitupotezee wakati.
Unajua nibadilisha mtoto au unataka kuniaccuse kuna shida niko nayo?
Pole pole tu.
Mimi alisema alikuja kwa hospitali yako. Akamwambia wewe mimi amgetaka kijana, lakini sababu mimi alikuwa amefanyiwa scan akabata mimi atabata msijana na ningetaka kijana, wewe akanimwambia hakuna problem, wewe ataorganize. Wacha kuruka mimi. Jen,
mimi si nakuruka na mna
wewe wacha kuruka mimi.
Wacha uongo.
Umesema ni kitu inaendeleanga katika hiyo hospitali.
Sio na wewe si ndio unafanyanga?
Mimi.
Si ndio? Nani mwingine anafanyanga? Sasa mama, hawa watafungwa.
Hiyo si kazi yako.
Oh, it's not your job.
Hello, fabulous ladies. Welcome to the talk show that's all about sisterhood, empowerment, and unfiltered conversation. We will be focusing on women. We believe in women.
We are really changing.
We are creating a safe space for women to connect, thrive, and share.
Just because you're a woman on a bike, you're labeled in a certain way.
It's not just a talk show, it's a movement.
When they are standing, we need to stand out.
From heartwarming tales to hilarious adventures.
They could ask me, Catherine, why are you learning?
We are turning the spotlight on women who are breaking barriers in the individual fields.
You have to have a vision. You are the leaders of Kenya today.
Keeping it honest and relatable.
Mental health is real.
Yes.
Where there is no communication, there is no relationship.
Join the sisterhood every Sunday at 4 p.m. on KBC TV for Dada's show.
Tuliza akili yako, kila kitu kitakuwa sawa.
Mke wangu mwenyewe si yuko hapa. Nimefugiana.
Kwa sababu nyinyi mlikuja mkanifukuza kwenu, mkanitenga, na mlivonitenga na mimi nikajitenga.
Hata kama ni ukweli, kwani uwezi tafuta mbinu tu ukaficha udhaifu nilioko nao? Unajua matokeo ya watu wakijua kwamba una mtoto wangu. Wajua matokeo?
Nifanye nini? Yameshamwagika kama ulivyotangulia kusema. Yameshamwagika, hatuna budi kuyazoa.
Good evening, welcome to Prime Edition. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now, the government has declared tomorrow, the 1st of November, as a public holiday, as we will be getting a new deputy president. And in business, I will be telling you all about AI. I have guests for you. What are the business opportunities for you? That and much more. In sports, Karen Kibet has all the action for you. But first, let's have the highlights. Finally, Kindiki's day of the oath. Professor Kithure Kindiki to be sworn in Friday, with the day being gazetted a national holiday. A 3 High Court judge bench lifts conservatory orders that delayed the change of guard at the office of the second in command. Is it all gone for Rigathi Gachagua? The big question as the impeached deputy president's legal battle suffers a series of unfavorable court rulings. Lensa Odingo is our sign language interpreter. And remember, we would love to hear from you. You can send us your comments or stories that you would like us to cover on our social media pages. That is KBC Channel 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and also on Instagram. Now, the government has declared Friday, the 1st November 2024, a public holiday, setting the stage for the swearing-in ceremony of Deputy President-elect Kithure Kindiki. In a Gazette notice signed by Musalia Mudavadi, who has been appointed as the acting Interior Cabinet Secretary, Mudavadi says this is in line with the Public Holidays Act and the Assumption of Office of the President Act. This comes barely hours after a three-judge bench declined to extend the conservatory orders blocking the swearing-in of Professor Kithure Kindiki. John Kahiro with the details for you.
It is all systems go with Deputy President-elect Abraham Kithure Kindiki of office on Friday in Nairobi. In a Gazette notice issued Thursday evening, the head of public service Felix Kosgei appointed a 21-member assumption of office of the Deputy President Committee, chaired by the Secretary to the Cabinet Mercy Wanjau, to take over the task of organizing the swearing ceremony of the DP-elect. Wanjau, in a Gazette notice shortly after, said the ceremony will be held at the Kenyatta International Convention Center at 10 a.m. This coincided with an executive order by the President appointing Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi as acting Interior Cabinet Secretary. Mudavadi, who temporarily takes over as Interior Cabinet Secretary, released a Gazette notice declaring Friday the 1st of November a public holiday to allow for the swearing-in ceremony of the DP-elect. The Deputy President-elect Kithure Kindiki was nominated and approved by Parliament for the position on the 18th of November. He, however, did not take oath of office after the impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua obtained court orders blocking his swearing-in ceremony, pending the hearing of a case in which Gachagua was challenging his impeachment. John Kahiro, Prime Edition.
Impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's fight for political survival dimmed Thursday after the courts issued orders giving the green light for the swearing-in of Deputy President-elect Kithure Kindiki. The courts, in declining to extend the conservatory orders blocking the swearing-in of the DP-elect, ruled that his rights to a fair trial will not be infringed in any way. So what next for the impeached DP Rigathi Gachagua as the Deputy President-elect Kithure Kindiki prepares to assume office as the second in command?
The political future of impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua appears to be fast fading after a three-judge bench declined to extend conservatory orders issued by the High Court in Kirinyaga, blocking the swearing-in ceremony of the Deputy President-elect. Law and constitutional experts say The discharging of the conservatory orders paves the way for the deputy president-elect to take oath of office.
The deal means a new office holder, and in this case, obviously, Professor Kindiki Kithure will be able to have a leeway to actually assume the office.
Lawyer Eric Nakurenya opines that Gachagua's legal team has the option to appeal the matter and potentially escalate it to the Supreme Court to challenge the constitutionality of his removal.
Even expect that perhaps for those who will be aggrieved, any aggrieved party, in the event of being dissatisfied by the decision of the High Court, they should be able to enjoy the right of appeal, go all the way to the Court of Appeal, have the case listened to, proceed, and probably even go all the way to the Apex Court, that is Supreme Court, just like the other cases that have been proceeding, especially in the cases of the removal of the governors.
Yeah. They are going to the Court of Appeal to appeal against that draconian ruling because the ruling is conveniently meant to suit some parties in these particular proceedings.
But what remedies will the court provide if Gachagua wins the case while Kindiki has already taken oath of office?
If you look at the current environment, I do not see a possibility where the courts will reinstate the deputy president to his office. Just like in the event of a marriage where it has considerably broken down, it becomes quite a challenge. But of course, the law has a provision. This is the first time we're having an impeachment proceeding and court cases in regard to removal of a deputy president. And we are very keen to see the kind of jurisprudence that will come from our courts.
The Constitution actually has already predicted those kind of scenarios. It provides that in this impeachment, it can be vacant for 74 days. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing will stop.
And as Gachagua's legal team consider their legal options, focus shifts to Professor Kithure Kindiki, who is now posed to be the country's new deputy president. Kindiki, who is currently serving as the Interior Cabinet Secretary, was nominated by President William Ruto on 18th of October to deputize him and approved by the National Assembly on the same day. Professor Kindiki, a lawyer by profession, has had an illustrious political career, having served as the senator of Tharaka Nithi County for 10 years between 2013 and 2022, as well as served as Member of Parliament.
Kenya will host the 2025 Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa COMESA Summit. President William Ruto at the same time has asked member states of the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa COMESA to ratify Pan-African payments and settlement system to enable and ease trade among the countries.
In an accepted speech during the 23rd COMESA Summit held in Bujumbura, Burundi on Thursday, President William Ruto said Kenya is ready to host the summit.
The COMESA 2025 Summit will happen at a time when our continent is under severe challenge, but we are committed and believe that all the challenges that face us, we can overcome standing together. At the summit, Your Excellencies, Kenya looks forward to facilitating dynamic discussions across different sectors such as trade, infrastructure, and the digital economy.
Meanwhile, President William Ruto has urged COMESA member states to adopt Pan-African payments system to enhance trade. While attending the 23rd COMESA Summit in Bujumbura, Burundi, the president highlighted the urgent need to reduce transaction costs associated with goods and services.
It is therefore important for us to build capacity to enhance our productivity, especially in the target area of agriculture.
The president also congratulated COMESA on the successful implementation of the tripartite free trade area last July, describing it as a vital step towards unlocking the vast potential of the African continental free trade area.
We can do more. We need to do more. As COMESA, we should endeavor to do more business with each other.
Mchuma Odim, Prime Edition.
Foreign envoys of 9 countries are raising concerns over ongoing reports of arbitrary arrests and enforced disappearance despite High Court's rulings. In a joint statement on Thursday, the ambassadors and the High Commissioners called for swift and transparent investigations to enable Kenya demonstrate to the world its commitment to upholding human rights. The statement comes hot on the heels of Kenya being elected to the United National Human Rights Council. Timothy Kipnusu has the details for you.
You have to abide by the rule of law in this country.
Security agents have been in the recent days been in the spotlight over alleged abductions and disappearances of individuals. The latest incident being last Sunday when activist Boniface Mwangi was reported to have been picked up from his home in the wee hours of the morning by unidentified individuals.
That behavior of going commando style like thugs, abducting people without identification and without giving reasons as demanded by the Constitution.
It is perhaps these incidents that have seen Friends of Kenya from 9 countries issue a joint statement calling for the rule of law to prevail. The diplomats say, "We note our concern over ongoing reports or arbitrary arrests and enforced disappearances despite High Court rulings. We note President Ruto's commitment that such incidents will not happen under his watch and all individuals involved will be held accountable." Additionally, they call for swift and transparent investigations into the allegations. The envoys also congratulated Kenya on its election to the United Nations Human Rights Council, urging the country to demonstrate its commitment to human rights even as they pledge to support Kenya in corralling the political will necessary to effect change. Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
The High Court has lifted the conservatory orders issued by a Kerugoya law court, settling in the stage for swearing in of a new deputy president-designate Kithure Kindiki. In its ruling, the Justice Eric Ogola-led bench ruled that in the spirit of constitutionalism, the office of the deputy president cannot stay vacant. And as Ruth Wambui reports, ousted former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua has suffered a double sword at the courts Thursday, starting from the Court of Appeal in the morning to the High Court in the afternoon.
From the Court of Appeal sitting in the Supreme Court mid-morning Thursday, Gachagua's day looked bleak. The trio bench at the appellate court declined to stop the High Court's bench from issuing a ruling on an application to lift orders that had been scheduled to start at 2:30 p.m. Justices Patrick Kiage, Jojo Dunga and Agri Muchelule directed Gachagua's lawyers to serve the amended application to all parties before midday Friday, giving them a hearing date for 6th November. At Milimani's law court, the bench comprising Justices Eric Ogola, Anthony Murima and Lady Justice Freda Mugambe walked in at exactly 2:37 p.m., ready to deliver the much-awaited baby. The court appealed that Gachagua's petitions raise constitutional issues that require further judicial interventions.
Allowing these orders to stand will leave the office of the Deputy President vacant. The problem, however, is that no other person is authorized to carry out the constitutional functions specifically assigned to the Deputy President under Article 147, Sub-Article 2, once those assigned by the President revert to the President in the absence of an office holder. The result would be a de facto suspension of Article 147(2) of the Constitution.
In acknowledging the pre-2010 constitutional differences with the 2010 Constitution, the court ruled that the office of the Deputy President has been redefined and cannot stay vacant.
It is undisputed that the impeachment of the Deputy President is a constitutional process outlined in Article 145 of the Constitution. The authority to determine whether the merits and procedures of such an impeachment process align with constitutional requirements therefore falls squarely within the jurisdiction of the High Court as provided for under Article 165(3)(2).
In casting out doubts from Gachagua's lawyers that the regime will not respect court orders, in the instant Gachagua wins the case, Justice Murima ruled that the court will craft effective remedies.
The conservatory orders issued on 18th of October 2024 in Keregoya High Court E015/2024 are hereby discharged and or set aside. Costs of these applications shall be in course. We grant leave for appeal.
Gachagua's counsel said on Tuesday, led by Senior Counsel Paul Muite and Elisha Ngoya, at the juries to take judicial notice of the serious violations of the Constitution, the flawed process, among other issues, in the unprecedented rush to oust Rigathi Gachagua.
In my own humble view, it is unfortunate that the court should have taken that kind of stand. They should have allowed the conservative orders to continue to be enforced until we dispose of the whole case.
The respondents on their part, led by Professor Githu Muigai and Professor Tom Mojenda, told the bench that a sustained conservatory order would trigger a constitutional crisis in the country.
A position to be held in abeyance because of the role set out under Article 131 and 132 of the Constitution. And so the court is right in discharging these orders. I think what we want to see is this country functioning within the confines of the rule of law.
Parliament or the National Assembly to approve the nominee of the president ought to be done within 60 days. It can be done on the first day, on the 30th day, or on the 60th day. So in terms of timelines, there is nowhere the Constitution talks about 74. It's a fallacy and pure misrepresentation, and the court has seen through that mischief.
With Justice Richard Mongo's orders now vacated, Professor Kithure Kindiki will be sworn in as the new DP tomorrow, 1st November 2024 at the KICC. With the bench, the de facto suspension of some parts of the Constitution is a gross violation of the rule of law, the court has added the last nail to the coffin by citing that the petitioner can only get a remedy at the Court of Appeal in this application. Ruth Wamboi reporting from Milimani's High Court.
Thank you, Ruth Wamboi, for that report. We will be taking our first break, but remember, as I promised you in business, we will be talking about AI and the opportunities for you. See you soon.
Are you a holder of unclaimed financial assets? All holders are notified to report and surrender unclaimed financial assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA, on or before November 1st, 2024. It is now easier to report and surrender. Visit www.ufaa.go.ke and get started to beat the November 1st deadline. It's your turn. Report and surrender today. Please note that failure to report and surrender qualifying unclaimed financial assets attract penalties and sanctions in line with Section 33 of the UFA Act 2011. UFAA. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
Tangu nishinde gari imenisaidia sana. Nimekuwa nikitumia kubebeba watu. Angalau naona life inabadilika. Sikosi angalau kwa siku.
Nilikuwa donda, nilikuwa tu msave hivi. Sasa hivi nina gari, naweza drive na naweza beba watu, naweza make my own money.
Mungu amekutoa kwa matatu.
Dial *570# option 4. Hapo kuna Pro Box. Na ina feel poa sana kuendesha gari ambayo unajua imechangia pakubwa kusaidia society. Unaweza anisha nayo busy yako ya transportation, ida kubebea watu wasoko vitu, na niko sure by the end of the day uta make ends meet. Dial *570# option 4 na Pro Box ya kushindaniwa.
I think we should hire more security guards.
Tony uliotaje?
Where are you going? I need to start living my life. And not my dad.
What do you do in this office? You don't have your own? Who or what exactly are you looking for?
Mimi unakemea?
Umeonana na hii familia ya Njuguna?
Tujaonana nao.
Kwani bosi uniamini? Trust is for the weak. Something is up.
Is Ruth safe?
She might do something stupid.
Wakili, what is going on?
Welcome back. Now, the government has deployed 70 information, communication and technology experts across the 47 counties to help address the teething problems bedeviling registration and uptake of the new Social Health Insurance Fund. Principal Secretary, State Department, Medical Services, Harry Kimtai, also revealed that special committees headed by the county commissioners and county executive members of committees will spearhead the activity across the counties to ensure more Kenyans enroll on the platform.
The government says it is working round the clock to iron out teething problems facing the new Social Health Insurance Fund. Chief Principal Secretary in the State Department for Medical Services, Harry Kimtai, says at least 70 technical officers have been deployed around the 47 counties to address some of the technical issues raised by Kenyans.
We take note that some of them have been having a challenge in communicating, and therefore, for the purpose of fast-tracking this process, we decided to deploy those ICT officers across the counties.
The PS also revealed that a team of national government administrative officers will spearhead a round of sensitization efforts to ensure Kenyans at the grassroots are registered.
The CHPs, as you are aware, have also been trained on assisted registration. So we expect this exercise to boost our registration and to boost number of Kenyans to enroll for SHA.
Kwa hivyo watu wasitie wasiwasi, iwapo unahitaji huduma za afya, fika hapa hospitalini utazipata. Zile ambazo zinahitaji malipo, serikali italipa moja kwa moja. Lakini kuna zingine ambazo pengine serikali imesimamia kiwango fulani na pengine inahitajika pesa nyingi zaidi. Hapo utakuwa huna budi kama Mkenya kuongezea ile kidogo ya ziada ambayo inahitajika.
Kina mama wetu wote ambao ni wajawazito wanakuja kujifungua, wanajifungua na hakuna chochote ambacho wanalipa. Na wale pia ambao wanabaki kwa siku moja ama mbili baada ya masaa 44 pia nao tunawahudumia, tunawapatia matibabu ambayo yanastahili na wanaenda nyumbani bila kulipa chochote.
Meanwhile, emergency healthcare service providers are now appealing to Kenyans to give SHA a chance.
But our hope is that with the new fund, we'll be able to access more services and more comprehensive services than what the previous fund was doing.
When these facilities get more money, that means with the logistics even of referral, or even improving the facilities to the standard, they'll be able to attend to most basic medical emergencies.
Joseph Wahungo for Prime Edition.
Well, we just have a press release coming in from the Ministry of Education letting all parents know that despite tomorrow being a public holiday, the KCSE exams will continue. They start tomorrow, and therefore the public holiday will not disrupt the exams. Now, the call for social justice dominated conversations during the launch of a strategic plan by a non-governmental organization, State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action Principal Secretary Anne Wangombe, who was the chief guest, called for collaborative strategies with private players in the tackling challenges of inequality and injustice. Action Aid International Executive Director Susan Ochieno, on her part, said the 5-year strategic plan is aimed at ensuring deliberate steps in fighting social injustice and advocating for equality among vulnerable groups.
The fact that we have a legislation has not enabled finances to trickle down fully to countries, to Africa, and now we are also seeing Kenya leading in the locally led approaches to address climate change. But again, we end up seeing communities not having the grip that they ought to have.
We are rooting for community involvement, but at the same time we realize that we operate with a system and a system of government. So we must also re-engineer how we engage with the public through the government for maximum impact.
Today, as we celebrate the launch of this strategy that aligns with our bottom-up economic transformation agenda, let us take into consideration that this is not just about economic growth. It is about transforming lives by creating opportunities that empower women and young people so that they can take their rightful places in the society.
Stakeholders in the environmental sector are now advocating for community-driven solutions that will empower local communities to adapt to climate change and further promote sustainable livelihoods. This was highlighted during the launch of a sustainable water and waste management project that will be implemented across Kisumu, Nakuru and Makueni. Tess Mutai was at the launch of the project here in Nairobi and has a report for you.
Environmentalists have noted the need to rope in urban population into sustainable water and waste management initiatives, targeting youth and women in informal settlements. Stakeholders noted that the project will focus on filling the gaps in water and waste services that continue to plague the sector.
We're trying to make urbanization more just, to make it more people-centered and a bit less business-centered.
There are two things lacking in implementation of our act. There's no awareness and there's no goodwill.
George Wesonga, the Chief Executive Officer of Civil Society Urban Development Platform, noted that there is a need to privatize water services to ensure efficiency and effectiveness in service delivery.
So what this project tries to address is to look at those communities themselves, their coping strategies, their innovations, and we see how we can build on this to ensure that we're able to turn around the plight that we see in those informal settlement areas, but also to give better livelihoods.
At the same time, Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance, in partnership with Kenya Platform for Climate Governance, participated in a march to advocate for the financing of locally led climate action to address the climate change crisis.
COP29, also known as Climate Finance, aims to establish a robust financial framework for climate action and will seek to address the criticisms of the previous 100 billion annual commitment in supporting developing countries in climate action.
We advocate for community-driven solutions that empower local communities to adapt, to enhance, accelerate operationalization of the global goal on resilience, and promote sustainable livelihoods.
They noted that there is insufficient flow of funds coming to Kenya. The shareholders further insisted on compensation from the developed countries through grants rather than loans. Even as stakeholders continue to gear up for COP29, they are making demands to ensure that Africa at large and her people get the compensation they deserve. Teresa Mutai for Prime Edition.
Rahisisha uwezo wako wa ushindi kwa kukuwa memba wa Loto Moto, na ni rahisi. Dial *570#. Ukiwa memba ni rahisi kufika kwenye jukwaa hili ili kujaribu mchezo wetu wa Loto Moto Show. Na pia kama memba unajipa nafasi rahisi ya kuingia kwenye promotion zetu zinazokupa nafasi ya kujishindia chapaa na zawadi kibao kama TV, friji, pikipiki, mashamba na pia magari. Kuwa memba ni *570#. Tushinde kama members.
Mapato ya jasho lako, faida ya nguvu zako, na juhudi za kila siku kuboresha maisha yako. KBC ndio ngao ya jasho lako. KBC salama. Tulia na KDIC.
KDIC, safer, stronger together.
Welcome back. It's now time for business. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has loaned 78 billion shillings under the Extended Fund Facility and Extended Credit Facility. The approval of the loan by the IMF board follows conclusion of the 7th and the 8th reviews by ATAM from the lender.
The Extended Fund Facility and Extended Credit Facility were first approved in April 2021, and a review under the Resilience and Sustainability Facility arrangement approved in July 2023. The Extended Fund Facility and Extended Credit Facility arrangements aim to support Kenya's program to address debt vulnerabilities while safeguarding resources for priority social and developmental needs, build resilience to shocks, improve governance and transparency, and support broader economic reforms. In addition, the Resilience and Sustainability Facility targets to reinforce Kenya's efforts to address climate-related challenges and catalyze further private climate finance. After the latest review by a team from the IMF, the lender has approved the immediate disbursement of a total of 78 billion shillings. This comprises 62.5 billion shillings under the Extended Fund Facility and Extended Credit Facility, and another 15.5 billion shillings under the Resilience and Sustainability Facility. This now pushes up the total cash approved by the IMF to Kenya under the Extended Fund Facility and Extended Credit Facility to 465 billion shillings. Under the Resilience and Sustainability Facility, the IMF has approved a total of 93 billion shillings for disbursement to Kenya. IMF First Deputy Managing Director Gita Gopinath says, and I quote, "The Central Bank of Kenya's decisive actions have supported price stability and external sustainability, including through institutional changes to improve the functioning of the monetary policy, operational framework, and the money and foreign exchange markets. Exchange rate flexibility is vital to improve resilience to external shocks and competitiveness." End of quote. Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
Well, earlier on, I did talk to you about AI, and a lot of people already have been asking questions about especially the opportunities. And I will not be talking about AI. I'm not the expert. And in studio, I am joined by Ray Chang and also David Millery, the CEO, Executive Director of Plus International. And also we have the business partner, HR Inua AI, Naomi Karingidi. Thank you so much for joining us. I would like to just begin by asking a simple question, because sometimes when people hear the conversation of AI, a lot of times people assume I'm not technical, I didn't even study, and people even think it has to only do with computers. But just give us a definition of what AI is and also examples of how in our daily life we use AI.
Yes. Well, thank you for this opportunity and for the invitation, Cynthia. It's
You're
a pleasure
welcome.
to be
How are
here
you doing?
today. And I think your comment, I think, is for a lot of people,
Yes.
because AI is currently something that's used globally, and it's still a concept that's not fully defined. So
Yes.
we all need to understand that. And I think that many places and countries are trying to figure out what is AI and how to leverage it.
Yes.
For me, I think the best way to describe it is AI is an accelerant. It's an accelerant similar to what we've had before, where products came into the marketplace and accelerated our productivity.
Yes.
So basically back in the day, we had Microsoft Office products, and suddenly everything went from paper-based to electronic-based. That was an accelerant.
Yes.
AI is that, but 10 times that. That's the potential of AI. But with everything like in technology, it needs to be harnessed correctly.
Yes.
So what I would say, in order to frame it properly for the people of Kenya, is that because AI is an accelerant, it has the potential of accelerating our businesses in the right way. And if our businesses are accelerated using AI,
Yes.
then the productivity goes up. And what is the result is more opportunity and more business.
Yes.
So if you have a good business plan, AI will accelerate the goodness of the plan. But if your business plan doesn't have the basic fundamentals of business, of supply and demand of a market and that understanding, AI will do nothing. So it is an accelerant, but still the foundations of business need to be prioritized.
Yes, yes. And how do people interface with AI in their normal lives so that people realize it's a normal thing, we have been using it for a while?
Well, it's everywhere.
Yes.
And of course, where you go to different parts of the world, you have different levels of AI in effect.
Yes.
But what I can say is that currently, AI can be used to accelerate things that had to be done before. So for example, before, if you had to program something, somebody would sit down and write a program. It would take them 2 hours to write the program. Now they can use something like ChatGPT, a large language module, and that code is generated automatically, but they still have to verify that it's good.
Yes.
So AI in itself cannot solve the problem.
Yeah.
But what it did was it bought you 2 hours to do something else that's more productive.
Yes, yes.
And so the opportunity is, from a business standpoint, can we then have where the gaps are and where the slowness is in business, can we deploy AI to accelerate the business?
Yes, and how can Kenyan businesses then use AI and also data analytics, especially when it comes to coming up with their strategies? Because you also really talked about the future and planning. How can businesses use that?
Well, the data is everything right now. We are a data-driven world, a data-driven economy, and that's where the words digital economy, when we're talking digital economy, the backbone of digital economy is the data set.
Yes.
The problem is, not all data sets are created equal. You may have a good data set, or you may have a bad data set.
Yes.
If you apply something to a bad data set, you cannot expect miracles.
Yes.
So again, that goes to the foundation of saying, is my data set good? Is the structure good? Do I have repetition? Do I have errors? If you apply AI to something that poor, it's going to accelerate the poorness of that.
Yes, obviously.
So I think that sometimes we have to take a step back from the buzzwords of the technology and make sure our fundamentals are strong, and then apply the artificial intelligence to those fundamentals.
Yes. And what specific skills would you say are most crucial for professionals as AI and data analytics becomes more prominent, especially in businesses?
Oh, yes, it has been prominent and it continues to become more prominent. The ability for leveraging data in the right way to accelerate your business is a skill set that can be learned. And it comes through experience, of course. And then when you start to learn the basics of that data set and the power of it, applying AI to that accelerates the power. So now your ability to do, the reason why other countries are very successful and we can be successful is because of the speed of business. It's not because of business, it's the speed at which business is done.
Yes.
So if we use AI to accelerate our businesses in the right way, then we will see a growth of not only business, but opportunity within the business.
You've mentioned using it in the right way. And even as you talk to businesses and in your experience, what are some of the challenges that businesses are facing as they adapt to AI, and how can they overcome some of these challenges?
I think some of the challenges that business have is that there's a saying, you run before you walk. Well, you need to walk first. So I think businesses struggle when their fundamentals aren't the best. And then they try not only apply AI technology, but technology in general. It doesn't work. So again, I know I'm saying it a lot, but I think the foundations need to be correct. Our young people, yes, they can develop AI techniques, AI modules. You'll see it on TikTok, you'll see it in social media. They're very good at that. But we want them to apply to real business.
Yes.
And that's where we need to take them from doing that to teaching them the fundamentals of business. Then when we combine the two, the natural skill set that they have because they have fun doing it with the seriousness of business, then you have something very good.
Yes, yes. I'll come back and continue still with the opportunities in AI, but you just had a conference for the last 4 days. Tell us a little bit what the conference was all about.
Yeah, so we are from the company Rising Sun Consultants, where we specialize in helping purpose-driven organizations support leaders to become better leaders through the power of servant leadership. We believe like good business is caring for the high performance of the organization, caring for the high care, high flourishing employee wealth, health, and also caring for community engagement. When you do those things well, it's a good business. You don't have to choose one or the other, that you pour deeply and you care well, and we call those the power of servant leadership.
Yes. Naomi, what is servant leadership?
Servant leadership entails serving others. Serving others in the capacity that we have. So, and here really our focus was mostly on impact. So then what impact do we as leaders have to our teams? So, and it's about engaging, you know, creating an environment where people feel like they're engaged in the sense of like I can approach my leader is approachable. Also an aspect of, so then how do we then create this, how does this impact then translate to them? So by probing, you know, asking questions, helping, it's not my responsibility for me as a leader to think on behalf of my subordinate. It's about creating an environment where we can probe questions, we can come to agreements and discussions together.
Yes. And in your experience, how effective is servant leadership as compared to other ways of leading?
Yeah, so in our 20 years supporting organizations, we believe that it has helped significant impact in that it just makes sense when employees and managers authentically care for one another well. It brings out the best in people. Bringing out the best in people to give of their best, not only to each other, but also to draw out the best in supporting the organization.
Yes, but businesses are about bringing out the best profit, the highest profit.
And that's exactly what I'm referring to, that it's not a either-or proposition. When you talk about the foundations of a good business, yes, you need to have a high profit, and that matters a lot. But high profits is not mutually exclusive from a high care environment. When you care for employees well, it turns into high profits. And it also turns into high care for the community. So we believe that serving people well translates to high client engagement, high employee engagement, and high community engagement.
Yes. Naomi, how easy is it to have that discussion in our culture where we are taught even right from school, you have a leader that's the boss, stand up, talk to them, show them respect. It doesn't even matter if your teacher is right or wrong, the teacher or the leader is always right. How easy is it to have that kind of conversation and having that leadership style?
To be honest, it's tough.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah, and you know, interesting enough, we were not only just the Inua team. We did have also people that were working also in Rwanda, in Burundi, in Congo, and we also got to learn how do they then in their work situations, how does these cultural differences look like in the organization? So it was mostly just like learning discussions to figure out then what then becomes the in-between. How then do I approach my leader, having in mind these cross-cultural differences and how we were brought up, thinking, you know, this is my boss, I need to be a certain way. But honestly, what it comes down to is just having as a leader, being approachable. That's the most, because when you are approachable, then the issue about culture doesn't become such a, you know, like a big hurdle to get over, because then if I know my leader is approachable, I will give the person respect, but I'm also free to communicate and, you know, bring forward to them, you know, things that I'm struggling with, the areas that I need support on, which is also important to driving the business.
Let's go back to AI and data analytics. And a lot of times people fear, especially when it comes to the collection of data, people really talk about privacy, and that has become a major concern and one of the conversations. How can a company protect the data that they collect, data of their customers and any other data that they have?
It depends where the company is in its evolution. Now, companies are so different, but there's a possibility you know, that you may have an old data set and now a new data set, and you have to protect you know, so data sets aren't the same, you know, and so the more complex the issue or the company is, then that issue becomes more complex. But I think that just like with fundamental business values, you can strategize on that protection of the data. The question is, are companies doing it? Because as you said, profits are maximized. So if you cut corners on the security, then you're not protecting the data because profits need to be maximized. So I think that that's where we run into trouble. So if we don't have the proper attitude at the leadership position in terms of servant leadership, then why would we care about the data set as long as we're making profits? So that's why this conference was very important, because it brought together that actually servant leadership leads to healthy organizations that lead to healthy profits for a long time.
And also, how do you then build a trust? Because AI is not going anywhere, and also we see that even when it comes to data, it's not going anywhere. So how do we increase then
the trust? The trust factor? Just like any trust factor is increased, better communication. When you have a lot of questions and people scratching their heads as to what's going on, it becomes difficult. And I think this applies to private industry, but it also applies to our government institutions. And I think that the private sector can really instruct, have best practices that they can offer to the government to say, this is how we will protect. But the communication of it has to be there so that there's no questions asked. And sometimes the communication is held within a few people and not to the public general public at large, which is why your role is so important, because you bring it to the forefront.
And also the conference that happened.
Well, the conference that happened, absolutely. The conference was an education for our young leaders that there's a different way of doing it. That maybe you've seen an authoritarian way of doing things, but maybe that's not the future. There's another way. And it was an amazing result this week when we saw them interact positively with confidence. We said, yes, this was worth doing because it educated them in a way that they weren't used to.
And Naomi, for you, what was the highlight of the conference or the 4 days?
My highlight was more so the opportunity that I saw to do things differently in future. I saw we did role plays, and I got an opportunity to see, you know what, this is a point of improvement for myself moving forward, even with the employees that I manage. So for me, it was the opportunity to do things differently, having this knowledge of throughout the week about servant leadership.
And for you, your highlight on the conference?
My highlight is simply just seeing these universal principles of servant leadership is alive and well across, across countries. That young people in Kenya are hungry. They are passionate to grow. They are hungry to learn. They are eager to achieve more. And I'm excited for the future of Kenya.
I want to go back to AI, and I'm sorry, I have to ask the questions people are asking, and a lot of them are just talking about the challenges and the fears that they have. One of the fears that people have is that AI is probably going to replace them in the workplace. Is this a legitimate fear?
It's not. It's not, because we've had other products come up in history and the same fear was there. When we used to do accounting with just ledgers and no software,
Yes.
well, we have many more accountants today than we had then. Why? Because the general economy and the gross domestic product has risen. Well, that's what's going to happen with the right implementation of AI.
Yes.
Everything will rise, and it'll rise for everybody if it's implemented correctly, not just a few people.
Yes.
So I would, instead of a spirit of fear, I think we need to turn it to say there is real opportunity here.
Yes.
If we manage to combine good business principles with AI,
Yes.
then the future is unlimited.
Yes. What would you say for you, even as you're saying that the future AI gives us an unlimited future? If Kenya embraces, and especially when it comes to industries, AI, and we have been talking a lot about our industries and even manufacturing, what does that mean for the Kenyan economy if we embrace it?
I think it'll speed up. I think that it will speed up the economy, and the speed of the economy creates opportunity.
Yes.
When economies are stunted and they're slowed down because of infrastructure problems, because of politics, then you'll see a negative effect. But now this technology has a way to accelerate us more than anything we've ever seen. And if Kenya is serious about this, the right investments will be made, not just in AI, but then fundamentally strengthening our fundamentals of business.
Yes.
And I think that that has to happen hand in hand. So I would say don't have a fear of AI, have an optimism because of the opportunity to come.
Yes. And even with your discussions in different countries and also companies, how much is Africa embracing AI?
I think that Africa realizes AI is going to be fundamental to them quicker than they did before.
Yes.
So if I was to compare what happened 20, 25, 30 years ago, I think we were slow in adoption.
Yes.
But I don't think that anymore.
Yes.
I think because of our history and where we are as a country, we are now at the cusp of saying, no, we won't be left behind.
Yes, yes.
And the opportunity is to innovate here and not just use AI that's provided to us.
Yes.
But we should innovate here and create the AI that we export to other countries. So we've not done that really well. Even with old technology, we've always used technology from elsewhere.
Yes.
But this is the opportunity to innovate here.
Yes.
And I think that I see the markers of that happening in multiple ways.
Yes. Do you think AI would make the great equalizer, especially for African and developing countries?
I think so, because where technology is today, we are connected globally. When we educate our young people at Inua AI, some coming from very difficult circumstances, we tell them that they have to be competitive globally.
Yes.
Not just here, not just with the West, but globally. What does that mean? So I think those are fundamental. They don't have anything to do with AI. It has to do with the mindset.
Yes.
Oh, why are we competing globally?
Yes.
Why should we do that?
Yes.
But I think those questions can be answered very easily.
Yes.
So I think the answers to those questions, if they're correct, then you add AI to it, then you have something powerful.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm not the expert. People were asking me questions. I'm so glad that in studio I was joined by all of you just to even tell us more a little bit about the opportunities and also about your conference and on servant leadership. That's a conversation that might need a whole day. But thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Now, moving on, private sector players have decried bureaucracy, lengthy approvals process, and conflict of interest, which they say are slowing public-private partnership deals and driving up the cost of undertaking mega projects. They are calling for a review of the public-private partnership law to streamline the process.
In efforts geared at addressing funding challenges for mega projects, Kenya has adopted public-private partnerships. However, bureaucracy, lengthy approval processes and conflict of interest are holding back effectiveness of the public-private partnerships model, prompting engineers to call for a review of the public-private law.
One of the biggest challenges we have is the length of time it takes to clinch a project on a PPP model, it takes forever. So there's a big conflict where the private sector is looking at the bottom line and the government is looking at service delivery and the economic development and empowerment to the people that they are trying to do the project for. So this brings the biggest question, and at the end of the day, really makes the project suffer.
Private sector players are also calling for an audit of the 40% local content policy to build the capacity of Kenyans and support the industrialization agenda.
Bring more stakeholders on board, blend the financing models in terms of government financing, private sector financing. Where do we come on board so that you can reduce the time we need to achieve that project and also reduce the cost of the financing?
The government is ramping up investments in value addition of cotton with investments in gineries targeting cotton-producing counties. Here is Frederick Mwoki with the details.
Even though Kenya has 52 textile mills, only 15 are currently operational and at less than 45% of their capacity. This is mainly due to obsolete machinery, outdated technology, low skill levels and limited productivity. In Makueni, the national government is investing 126 million shillings in revamping gineries in the area.
Serikali ya Kenya tumeweka bilioni 5 katika hiyo programu ambayo yuko nayo katika KBC ili kusaidia wanabiashara wadogo. Na ndio maana wiki ijayo tangazo ikiwekwa kwa vile vyama vya ushirika, mimi nawaomba sasa vile tumekutana na nyinyi, niwaibie siri. Nataka niwaibie siri. Nataka nyinyi muwe namba 1 katika hiyo program ya kugawa pesa.
Tutakuwa tukipeana through SACCOs, kuanzia next week tutakuwa hapa kwa county. SACCOs zenye nyinyi your members, tutakuwa tukipea SACCOs zenu hizo pesa, ndio wale wanaweka mifugo, wale pia wanapanda chakula ya mifugo, muweze kwenda kwa hizi SACCOs zenu, muweze kupata hizi pesa.
Mvurya says government policies will be aligned to ensure the benefits of industrialization are felt across the country through strategic investment.
Serikali inatafuta market ya pamba ndio itengeneze hizi nguo na wametupatia 107 million kilos. Hiyo ndio the easiest way to understand. 107,000 kilos ya cotton seed.
Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
Kenyans working in South Sudan want the government to help open a trade facilitation office to facilitate business between Kenya and South Sudan. Business owners also urging the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry to set up offices in South Sudan to champion the welfare of Kenyan entrepreneurs. O'Brien Kimani is in Juba, South Sudan, and has more details for you.
If somebody has to bring his products to Juba today, there are some challenges that the manufacturers in Kenya are getting, be it on transport, be it on load networks. So these are things I would look at each individual country to improve on the load networks. Communication in terms of networking should be there. Like you note, we've had a little bit of a challenge in communicating here today, but I think each government, if it takes that initiative, it will really embrace and grow the economy that all of us are looking forward to.
We are interacting with new people, new businesses, and also we are also creating links in Juba.
It all comes down to funding. Right? I think they should select some businesses that they see in the next 10 to 15 years could be very good in skills to create jobs in the youth, that could be very good for export market, and they should invest in those. Starting something like a chamber of commerce here, where people can have a point of communication when there's a problem, especially for SMEs, that would be a plus.
I think the export costs should be lower, because in Kenya it's expensive to import or export anything. So if the government could check on that, more so for traders who are trying to expand their horizons, that would be really good. Kenya has become tough to get something in or to get anything out. So if they can sort that for us,
the government would have really helped people. Plus, organize more of this, not even just outside, invite more countries, do a lot of publicization, not only in Kenya, but outside.
What I have seen and what I've interacted with the investors in this country, it's only communication that's a little bit of a problem. But overall, these are people who are embracing the Kenyan products. And as we speak now, there are very many who are interested even to come to Nairobi to see what we are doing. And what I would say is that the East African community cannot do it any better than what they are doing.
When you listen to many Kenyans doing business here and, of course, showcasing the products here in Juba, South Sudan, you get a feeling of a community that is highly determined to make it against many odds. And their plea is very simple. Level the playing field for all. They're not seeking favors, nor are they seeking for special treatment. From Juba, I'm O'Brien Kimani.
From Juba back to Kenya, where county governments will monitor land use and detect irregularities in land allocation and identify sensitive areas for conservation following the establishment of Geographical Information System, a technology targeting data-driven decision-making in land management. Council of Governors Chairperson Ahmed Al-Mdai says that the Geographical Information System labs being implemented will streamline operations and fast-track resolution of land disputes.
Irregular land allocation, disputes over boundaries, and encroachment of ecological areas are among challenges that have hindered the country's progress towards efficient land management. The Council of Governors, the European Union, and the Food and Agriculture Organization have established 32 Geographical Information System laboratories to support digitalization of land records.
These GIS labs will serve as hubs where county governments can access advanced technologies and expertise. They will foster a culture of data-driven decision-making.
We find ourselves in a transformative era where data, innovation, and technology are redefining every sector, including land governance.
In this framework, the EU is particularly committed to fight inequality and reduce the digital gap.
Establishing GIS laboratories in Kenya's counties marks a significant milestone towards improved land governance.
The system will facilitate efficient land management through digital maps.
It is a technology that integrates hardware, software, and data to enable us store, manage, analyze, model geospatial data.
The use of GIS in governments has therefore become a matter of necessity that fosters on effectiveness in service delivery and efficiency in the use of scarce resources.
Land is a critical issue, but now we are going to solve the problems using digital. So this is a big step.
The current fix we are in, the problem is us leaders. And there is no angel who will fall from heaven to fix our current situation. We must fix ourselves.
And
the Council of Governors and the strategic partners have launched the system's implementation guidelines and its training manual to empower the personnel on how to use the equipment. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Online logistics company Locust is targeting to onboard at least 1,200 farms to drive its regional growth plans. Logistics Farm, which links cargo owners to transport farms, has signed a deal with the Kenya International Freight and Warehousing Association to reduce delays associated with cargo weight.
Augmentation in cargo haulage and challenges in tracking cargo movement among logistics and transport.
We apologize for that technical hitch. Now, Diani Beach is renowned for its breathtaking scenery and also an exhibition of cultural vibrance. Among the many tourist attractions in Diani is the unique and natural formation of a rock in the Indian Ocean with the actual shape of the map of Africa. This natural formation offers visitors a unique bird eye view. Tonight on Magical Scenes, we highlight the wonders of Diani.
first thing that strikes you as you approach Diani Beach along the Indian Ocean on the map of Africa is the stunning view. The formation, visible from a distance, resembles the outline of the African continent, with its distinct features accentuated by the landscape surrounding it. Situated along the Congo beach, the lush foliage, swaying palm trees, and the azure waters of the Indian Ocean creates a picturesque backdrop that invites exploration and admiration. The map of Africa is not just a geographical curiosity. It is a symbol of unity and pride of the people of Diani and Kenya at large. Local artisans and cultural groups often gather here, celebrating their heritage through music, dance, and art. For anyone seeking adventure, the area surrounding the map of Africa offers space to activities. Snorkeling in the coral reefs, kite surfing on the ocean waves, or simply lounging on the soft, white sands are just a few of the ways to soak in the beauty of this coastal paradise.
So you still can actually get the feel of a beach, the feel of a coastal area with tamed temperature, meaning that now that it's a rainy season, it still is raining, but at the same time the weather is really nice and friendly.
Local conservation efforts have also played a crucial role in preserving this natural wonder. Community-led initiatives aim to protect the environment, ensuring that the map of Africa and its surroundings remain a sanctuary for both wildlife and visitors alike. This commitment to sustainability resonates deeply with travelers who seek to leave a positive impact in the places they visit. Mchuma Odim, Magical Scenes in the county of Kwale.
Well, here's a story that we had for you earlier on online logistics.
Cargo haulage and challenges in tracking cargo movement among logistics and transport firms is among key bottlenecks which contributes to high transport costs and high prices for end users. Apex Loads, a firm which connects transporters to cargo owners, is now banking on its latest agreement to reduce costs.
Understand the industry, they have the credibility, and what we're trying to leverage at Apex Load is to get associated with such a credible organization so we can try to figure out this logistics problem together.
Apex Loads, which has operations in Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, now plans to onboard at least 1,200 KIFOA members to over 5,000 transporters on its platform.
KIFOA has over 1,200 active members, and now if we can get them all on board in the system, that would be the stepping stone to cleaning up logistics in Africa.
Under the deal, KIFOA expects to reduce costs associated with delays in cargo haulage.
If we can have a system that is predictable, that is reliable, that you can track it easily, I think in terms of the cost, it is going to contribute largely in reducing that the cost of the logistics.
Kenya is calling for enhanced collaboration with countries in the East, Central and Southern Africa in monitoring and containing locusts in their breeding areas. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Dr. Andrew Karanja says this will ensure joint interventions are tailored towards addressing the threat of invasive species.
While the desert locust swarms of 2019 to 2021 may have been brought under control, experts warn that the threat is far from over. Resultantly, The formation of a broad strategy on invasive species is needed, focusing on, among others, assessment of invasion pathways and strengthening of quarantine and border security.
It is far relatively cost-effective to contain these migratory pests collectively as a region, and hence the importance of joining the regional organization and being fully supportive of the organization operations.
Karanja says climate change is a key driver in the breeding and spreading of migratory pests.
Definitely we have to take care of the climate change because it is affecting very many variables and also the outbreak of these migratory pests.
He says plans are underway to create effective communication avenues that contain information on pesticide management and pesticide storage facilities.
Enhancing national technical capacity in migratory pest management through regional trainings, workshops, webinars, and conferences.
Nduta Mukami for Prime Edition.
Thank you, Nduta Mukami, for that report. A second suspect linked to the brutal murder of Wells Fargo Human Resource Manager Willis Ayeko was shot dead in Kisumu Thursday afternoon. Details of this and other stories making headlines in the county's news roundup.
The suspect who was on the run from Sia after escaping a shootout was gunned down by the police in Kisumu. According to the police, the suspect who had checked into a hotel in Kisumu opened fire at the police, who quickly responded, killing him instantly.
When his door was knocked, requesting him to open, the officers were able to hear him cock his firearm. And as at that juncture that the officer stormed in, and as he was endeavoring to shoot at the officers were fast enough to have gunned him down.
Meanwhile, Chief Justice Martha Koome has demanded for the immediate action and a thorough investigation against the recent reports by the police that 97 women have been killed in the last 90 days. She was speaking at the Kindiki Girls Rehabilitation Center when she officially launched the 2024 National Child Justice Service Month.
Crimes that lay bare profound failure of our collective duty to protect our most vulnerable. Why are our girls, why are our women being killed?
Mining, Brew, Economy and Maritime Affairs Cabinet Secretary Hassan Ali Joho has asked the cement producing company in the country to strictly adhere to the rules on the environmental standard and observe the terms of their mining license.
You don't need to come and have a back and forth on basic fundamental requirements that you all are aware about. So meaning Kenya cannot be a dump site. Kenyan people cannot suffer for no apparent reason. You invest, you follow the rule of law in terms of the regulations of mining and environmental.
Elsewhere, the Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Institute, KARO, has commended small-scale farmers in Migori County for their vital role in enhancing food security and supporting rural families.
We targeted them because they are the ones who are the most needy. And we thought that using our technologies, they can be able to improve their livelihoods, be able to get food and nutrition security, and be able to live a better life.
Finally, Kipsigis elders held traditional prayers and cleansing at Kericho Green Stadium at Kericho County following the death of 6 people during the Mashujaa Day celebration last year.
We were able to do the traditional prayers here today so that at least this stadium becomes suitable for our use.
Ndisho Kamau for Prime Edition.
Tangu nishinde gari imenisaidia sana. Nimekuwa nikitumia kubeba watu. Angalau naona life inabadilika. Sikosi angalau kwa siku.
Nilikuwa donda, nilikuwa tu msave hivi. Sasa hivi mimi na gari, naweza drive na naweza beba watu, naweza make my own money.
Mungu amekutoa kwa matatu.
Dial *570# option 4. Hapo kuna Pro Box. Na ina feel poa sana kuendesha gari ambayo unajua imechangia pakubwa kusaidia society. Unaweza anisha nayo busy yako ya transportation, ida kubebea watu wa soko vitu, na niko sure by the end of the day uta make ends meet. Dial *570# option 4 na Pro Box ya kushindaniwa.
12-year-old singer and an actress. I also play basketball and chess. I'm looking up to acting with really famous actresses like Lupita Nyong'o.
So, you can imagine my surprise when I went shopping for a book and I found a book. I love you this much.
She sees cheese, she sees cheese, she sees cheese. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make fried cabbage. It's delicious, it's yummy, and it's so easy to make.
This is the way I carry my bag, carry my bag, carry my bag. This is the way I carry my bag.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who's the man in this one? And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevakishwa. Sile wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Welcome back. A very good evening to you. Thank you for keeping it KBC Prime Edition. It's now time for us to take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. My name is Karen Kibet. Now, Kenya Ports Authority are through to the semi-finals of the FIBA Africa Women Basketball League qualifiers at the Amman Stadium in Zanzibar, where they will meet Al Hilali of Egypt. APR will play REG in the other semi-final in an all-Rwandan affair. The Dockers beat Equity 80-63 in today's quarterfinals in a rematch of last year, where the Dockers prevailed too. Equity will now play Vijana Queens in the 5th to the 8th place classification matches after the Tanzanian team lost to Al Ahly by 130-47 baskets. APR beat Gladiators of Burundi 78-55 as REG beat JKL Ladies of Uganda 67-52 in the other quarterfinal matches. The semi-finals are scheduled tomorrow on Friday, with KPA in contention for a place in the Africa Women's Basketball League, where they finished third last year. KPA progressed to the quarterfinals from Group B, where they beat Hawassa City of Ethiopia but lost to APR of Rwanda. Equity, on the other hand, advanced to the knockout stages with 2 wins against Gladiators of Burundi and Fox Divas of Tanzania. The process of reviewing the Sports Act 2013 and the National Sports Policy 2005 is on course, according to the Sports Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, who appeared before the Senate Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. The Sports CS said amendment of the bill is being sought so as to harmonize operations of sports in the country.
The review of the Sports Act will seek to reinforce sports development at the grassroots, as well as setting up of sports academies across the country, which will help in talent identification. The process is set to be complete by December.
The objective of the bill is to amend the Sports Act, which is Cap 223, primarily to establish county sports academies across all counties, facilitating early talent identification and development from the grassroots.
Murkomen urged the committee to shelve a separate private members' bill that proposes amendments to the current sports legislation to allow thorough review of the Sports Act.
The reason why we are requesting the promoters of this amendment to wait is so that we can now capture all these things together. We will have to think through this bill. We think that we must think comprehensively. Why? Because for sports academies to be proper academies, they must deal with young people from 6 years to maybe at most 17, 18.
The review of the Act will also seek the strengthening of the partnerships with the Ministry of Education to tap budding sports talents within Kenya schools and colleges.
We want even more of the funding of sports activities to be the high school, primary high school and colleges, and we'll make sure that the universities become center of sports development so that we can marry education and sports for our young people so that they have a skill, but also they have knowledge that can help them survive after their talent cannot give them any further resources.
Meanwhile, an international stadium is set to be constructed in Mombasa. The construction of the stadium at the coastal city is expected to boost Kenya's chances of hosting several upcoming global events, apart from uplifting sports standards in the region.
We need a world-class stadium in Mombasa, and not in 5 years, urgently, because we are now bidding to host various events. Today, initially the plan was one of the matches for Africa Cup of Nations should go to Mombasa, but because of the capital investment between what we are building new in Talanta and we want to do something of the same caliber in Mombasa, that was delayed.
Kenya Pipeline women's volleyball team beat Prisons Kenya in a 5-set thriller during the opening matches of the 2024-2025 Kenya Volleyball National League at the Kamkunji grounds in Nyeri. The two heavyweights went into the match prepared to exert their supremacy, and they lived up to their billing in an eagerly awaited match. Kenya Pipeline took the first set 25-14 before Prisons made it even in the second set, which they won 27-25. Kenya Pipeline regained their lead in the third set, 25-22, but Prisons drew level again in the fourth set with 25-23 win. Kenya Pipelines, however, had the last laugh when they narrowly won the fifth set 18-16 to emerge victorious. The men's league defending champions Prisons Kenya, however, made up for their ladies' disappointment when they beat Kenya Army by straight sets of 25-22, 25-15 and 25-14, as the Kenya Army women atoned for that with victory in the women's league, where they beat Maranatha by 3-1. KDF beat Vihiga by straight sets, so did KPA men against Equity and Kapu against Bezietu. Moving on, Boston Marathon champion Hellen Obiri aims to become the third most successful Kenyan woman in the history of New York Marathon when she returns to the United States this weekend to defend her title.
For the win in the 34-year-old Obiri won her first New York title in 2023 after her debut in 2022, where she finished 6th. She successfully defended her title last year before she won her second Boston Marathon in April this year, having set a personal best of 2 hours, 21 minutes and 38 seconds in 2023. Obiri was a hot favorite for the Paris Olympic Games in August this year, but was forced to settle for the bronze medal in the women's marathon. She will be going for her third title in New York, where she will face stiff competition from her compatriot Sheila Chepkurui and former New York City Marathon champion Sharon Lokedi, who is out to avenge her defeat in the Boston Marathon last year when she lost to Obiri. Chepkurui holds a personal best of 2 hours, 17 minutes, 29 seconds. She set in Valencia Marathon in 2022. Meanwhile, 3-time World Half Marathon champion and 2-time World Cross Country champion Geoffrey Kamworor will lead Kenya's charge in the men's competition. Kamworor won the New York Marathon titles in 2017 and 2019. He will, however, be up against Olympic record holder Tamirat Tola, who will be out to defend his title, not forgetting Kamworor's compatriot Evans Chebet, who won in 2022, and Abel Kipchumba, who won this year's New York City Half Marathon.
For the men's elite is Geoffrey Kamworor.
Hotspur overcame rivals Manchester City 2-1 in the Carabao Cup round of 16 as Manchester United thrashed Leicester City 5-2. Chelsea lost 2-0 to Newcastle United. Liverpool beat Brighton 3-2 as Arsenal beat Preston North End 3-0. And those were all the sports stories we had for you tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. I'll see you tomorrow on Easy Friday. That's all from me. I'll now hand you back to my colleague, Cynthia Nyamai. Cynthia.
Thank you, Karen Kibet. Now we change gears as we come to the end of the bulletin. Just to read out some of your comments. Some of you are asking if we will be following up the swearing in tomorrow, and we'll definitely be following up that for you. So watch us right here on KBC. And also we have Ahmed, who says that he enjoyed the interview and now has investment opportunities when it comes to AI. From me and the rest of the team, we do want to wish you a very good night.
Say bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sports, music, entertainment news, live TV, live radio, and so much more